Hi everyone, Happy New Year. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. On the show today, we have this anti-discrimination bill that they're trying to sneak through. We need to know about that. A magnificent story of survival and how that survival ordeal changed a man's life. And Elisabeth with the year ahead. This is the Court of Public Opinion. Back for the new year, and it's an exciting new year for us. We are now going not just to Adelaide, but to Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane, and I think a little bit further down the track, probably to Perth as well. And that's a wonderful thing, because it's a long time since South Australia has produced on commercial free-to-air television a program that we've exported to the country, to the whole nation. So the Court of Public Opinion is there for us to all enjoy. And I thank you for the support last year, and I look forward to your support this year. Over Christmas, it was a funny sort of Christmas. You got the usual sort of stuff. First, I'd like to say congratulations to Alexander Downer and Peter Gers for getting their Orders of Australia. That was wonderful. Recent guests on the program, by the way. And also our Senior Australian of the Year, who's a South Australian, Professor Maddox, who I hope to get on the program in the coming weeks. But there were the usual things, you know, Australia Day, like, change the flag, change the anthem, let's become a republic, that kind of hardy annuals that people trot out, I guess. Journalists who are trying to find something to write about in the silly season, they do that kind of thing. However, the thing that did grab my mind was the Tour Down Under. Now, the Tour Down Under, I found it fascinating. I confess to you I don't understand it. But then again, I guess I'm not wired that way. I don't understand deal or no deal. You have to have a certain perspective or wiring to get it. But you know, you're standing there and 100,000 people came to watch the Tour Down Under. And you know, and you think to yourself, are they coming back? Was that it? Expectation? And then on top of all of this, and I also have to say that Channel 9 did a wonderful job of showcasing South Australia. I thought their coverage of it was absolutely fantastic, but I still don't get it. Someone one day will explain to me how it all works. Lance Armstrong might be the man. Lance Armstrong, Oprah said it was the best, most significant interview she had ever done in her long, wonderful career. Here was this man. Didn't seem contrite to me. However, there he was, the beneficiary of the US Postal Service's sponsorship, which I think was $90 million. $90 million. And there he was saying, yes, he was doped up to the eyeballs. I thought to myself, maybe there is a way out of this for Lance. What he does is to have not the Tour de France, but the Tour de Lance. Wouldn't that work? And the only condition would be that everyone had to be doped up to the eyeballs. You know, it could be really entertaining. I mean, some would just go like that. Others would just go round and round and round in circles. Some would get off the bike and chew the tires. But we'd be enjoying a spectacle. Entertainment. Do you like it? The Tour de Lance. Anyway, we have a great show coming up. Stay with us and enjoy the Court of Public Opinion. Some highlights of history in this week. The Vietnam War ended. It was 1973. It officially ended at 8 a.m. Saigon time, 1973. The Victoria Cross, Britain's highest military decoration, instituted by Queen Victoria, that was in 1856. It was melted down cannons from the Crimean War, I think. The feast day of St. Francis, patron saint of writers and journalists. I thought he was more into animals. Anyway, ice cream in the nicest possible way, you understand. Also, the ice cream cone was patented by Carl Taylor of Ohio on this day in 1924. Whatever did they do before ice cream cones, I ask you. Now, years ago, my mother used to say to me, now you grow up and be a discriminating man. I don't know what the world of today of political correctness would have made of my mother, let alone my grandmother, but she taught Christopher and me to be discriminating. You know, and to this day, I like red wine. I don't like white wine. I like open cars. I don't like closed cars. You know, that's all discrimination. You remember I showed you this picture. It's a promotion for war bonds. I got it at auction, very old, 1942 or something. And it's about a guy in a factory standing up, and he's talking about freedom of speech. It's go buy war bonds because that's how we're going to win the war. Well, we won the war, and now freedom of speech is under attack, and believe it or not, from our own people. Let me introduce you to Alex Ward, who is a lawyer and a consultant on the law. I brought Alex in because I want to talk to him about this, what do they call it? They call it the revised definition of discrimination. Alex, welcome.
Jeremy, thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure. Now, they are selling this, and I'm very cynical about this, and most things, I suspect, but they're selling this as a tidying up of the loose ends of the Discrimination Act, but lots of people see it as something very different.
Well, there's lots of areas of discrimination in lots of different acts, so bringing them all into one is sensible, so we have one place to look for them. And having a national law in Australia would be even more sensible. But it's a very good point you make of being cynical, because in the tidying up, it seems to me and a lot of other people that they have greatly broadened what it is to discriminate. And if you discriminate, then you're liable to legal penalties. So if it's a matter of not employing someone because they might be pregnant, I think that's quite important. Yeah. We should do that. But if it's a matter of you and me having a discussion,
yes,
and you're saying, gee, breastfeeding babies annoy me, and I can say, well, my wife breastfed, in which case you've now discriminated against me.
And you've offended me.
And you've offended me, in which case I could bring a complaint against you, and if I wanted to, actually take you to court. It's as broad as that, which is the worry that a lot of commentators have on it, very serious worry.
Yeah, but there seem to be other things too, that they either haven't thought through,
or
they have thought through. I mean, things like, you know, they can't sort of move public servants or judges on after the age of 70. If you pull out your senior's card and you expect a discount on the bus, you can't do that because that's discriminating. A schoolboy can't get on the bus and get a discount or a concession because that's discrimination.
There's lots of discrimination already, and a lot of it is good. So you would give people a hand up. Aboriginal people might get a more favourable position.
But it doesn't quite say that, does it?
Well, there are exemptions to what they're doing, but the breadth of it is this, Jeremy. They've got 18 things which they call the protected attributes. Things like age, sex, breastfeeding, pregnancy, religion, ones that we would expect. And what it says is that if you offend or insult someone, you're treating them unfavourably. And that's the basis upon which you could, by saying a simple comment of your opinion, if it's mildly offensive, if it offends someone, then they have a basis to bring a claim against you. That's what is being put forward in this proposed bill. They're putting it forward so that we can talk about it as we are now, but we should talk about it and say, that's a madness.
Yeah.
Well, or what's it for? It shuts everyone up. It would shut up anyone making a speech at the 21st.
Yes, what about a minister in a pulpit? What about...
Well, hopefully the minister in the pulpit's not offending too many people, but they might make comments about family responsibilities. The man should work, the wife should stay at home. If the minister said that, and it wasn't exempt, then the minister is actually offending people.
Well, if I haven't offended somebody in this interview, I'm not doing my job.
Well, you can offend now as much as you want, because it's not yet law.
Well, former High Court Judge Ian Callanan has called for widespread community, not discussion, opposition to the federal government's program or proposed changes to discrimination law. He says it's outrageous and a threat to community cohesion. Every Australian with an eye for democracy, and I hope that means he says most Australians, we should do everything we can that is lawful to oppose the introduction of this outrageous law.
Yeah, it is, and I think he's drawing the same distinction that I am, of saying to discriminate someone. We've heard cases of this. Aboriginal people go into a hotel, no, you can't stay the night, we've got no rooms. Then a white person coming in, getting
Clearly
in. We agree with that.
Yes.
But when it's just us talking, when it's the social discourse, when it's any comedian, or when it's the Prime Minister's husband who might make a joke.
Yes.
If we looked at it on this, he's made a joke that would offend people who had prostate cancer or may have it in the future. He's people's medical conditions, and the the race of the doctor.
People are easily offended, that's true. I saw a cartoon where Ms. Roxon was portrayed surrounded by people, and she said, now listen, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, or have a very good lawyer handy. Now that gets to the nub of it, doesn't it?
Well,
but
it does.
cartoons could be regarded as offensive.
That would be necessarily offensive to her for her political opinion, and that's one of these other protected attributes. You can't offend someone's political opinion.
What do you reckon that this is just about shutting down what these people in Canberra call the right-wing shock jocks? Isn't that what it's about? In an election year?
Well, if it is, it actually drags us all in as well.
Yes.
So it was just to get those people. Everyone in the country is affected by it, and that's the whole danger of this. It's the breadth. It even deals with umpires. So if you're at down watching the Crows or some football team, and you say, put your glasses on, umpire, then you've got him, and he has an action against you. You've commented on his medical condition, and it sounds silly and quaint, but they've actually specifically referred to umpires.
But it's there. Alex, thank you so much for coming in.
Happy to do so, Jeremy.
All the best. Man the barricades, folks. Now, in a couple of seconds, you'll meet a man whose survival story is just truly remarkable. To say it changed his life is an understatement, but it's a great story of inspiration. Stay with us. The Court of Public Opinion.
Great house. Thank you. Rossdale built it for us. We love it. I'll show you through. We wanted a house with a barley feel, so we worked with our building consultant and designers to develop a plan we liked. They were so flexible and cooperative. When it was all designed, we got an absolute fixed price and they stuck to it. No extra charges, and their people were fantastic to work with.
We're actually thinking of building a new home.
You should go and see all their displays and talk to them about your ideas. It's the best thing we've ever done.
Rossdale Homes, because trust is a must.
Scammels, South Australia's specialist estate auctioneers. Visit us at 7 Chapel Street, Norwood, or at www.scammelauctions.com.au.
Now again, welcome to our new viewers in Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane, and I think Perth's coming on board too fairly soon. Welcome to you all. Hope you enjoy the show, The Court of Public Opinion. Some things, I suppose I'd put them under the heading of food for thought. You know, this is amazing. For the first time in the history of the world, more people are dying from obesity. I heard this over, of course, it's not the sort of thing you want to hear over Christmas, is it, when you're indulging yourself? More people are dying from obesity than are dying from starvation. Can you get your mind around that? So half the world is killing itself with overeating. And the other funny thing I heard over the holiday period was that half the food we produce in the world is wasted. Half of it. Amazing, isn't it? Think about it. Food for thought, as I say. Let me introduce you to a man, remarkable man. I mean, not many people could survive what he survived and do it in such a wonderful way. Changed his life, and he has gone on from that moment, which almost took his life, to change other people's lives. His name is Derek McManus, and I'd like you to meet him. Sir, thank you.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It's a great honour to meet you. You're still a serving police officer.
I am.
And I know that you were shot, what was it, 14 times? 14
times. 14 hits all up, bullets or shrapnel.
And it didn't kill you?
It didn't kill me, no.
Obviously.
Very, very close.
Obviously.
According to Bill Griggs, who's the first doctor to get to me, when he first saw me, he actually looked at me. There was no colour, there was no sound, there was no movement, there was no breathing. He thought I was dead. I took this last gasping breath, and at that point he said, maybe there is something we can do. He went to work. He risked his life at that time to go to work on me, and he estimated I was about 30 seconds from death at that time.
It is an incredible survival story, and you come out of it without any bitterness, and you come out of it with lots of positive feelings. Take us back to that day, because I remember it. I was on the air at 5DN, and we sent Murray Nicol out to cover it, and we did crosses for most of that time that you lay there. Take us back to that day.
I was a member of the police star group. We went out to arrest a guy who very clearly didn't want to be arrested, As we approached the house, we called out that we were the police. We knocked on the front door, invited him to answer. I moved down the side of the house to see if we were definitely going to arrest him. He had to go to court. There was a warrant for his arrest. So I moved down the side of the house to look at a sliding door to see if we could get into the house without causing damage. And as I approached that sliding door, he started firing. He fired 18 times.
This is a high-powered rifle too.
7.62, 308 caliber SKK, Chinese military assault rifle. He fired 18 times in less than 5 seconds. I was hit 14 times with either bullets or shrapnel.
How long did you lie there before they could get help? Because I understand he pinned down the other officers.
The guys that I was with, they got pinned down by him. We were armed with pistols, as police going to arrest someone might be, but he had a high-powered rifle. So the guys that I was with got pinned down by him. They had to call in backup. The backup logistically was well away from where we were. We were in the Barossa Valley. They were in the Onkaparinga Gorge. It took them 3 hours to get the message to those boys, them to get back, regroup, re-kit, and then get out to where we were. But they were only on the ground for about 15 minutes, formulated the plan to come in and rescue me, and actually came in. And they knew that they themselves were risking their lives to come in and get me, and they didn't even know whether I was still alive or not.
No.
Yeah, heroes, absolute heroes.
What does it feel like to be shot like that?
Well, you know, I've spoken to many people about it, and I don't think there's any common feeling, because for me, it didn't feel like being shot at all. When I first got shot, I hadn't felt the pain of being shot, hadn't heard the sound of or my mind has blocked these feelings out. All I knew was I was falling to the ground. And I started cursing myself, how can I be so stupid to be falling? And then it suddenly hit me, I'm actually being shot because of circumstances that were around me. And so for the next 3 hours that I was lying on the ground, it just felt like somebody had punched me in the stomach reasonably seriously.
Yes.
Given me a dead leg like you get on a football field or a basketball court or something like that.
Because that ammunition and that kind of powerful rifle kills by shock, doesn't it?
Kills by several different methods. It was military rounds, so they are designed more to injure than they are to kill.
Was that a registered gun?
It was, yes. Yep. Yep.
Now, you talk about a white light. When you get that close to death, what did you see?
I've been lying on the ground for 2 3/4 hours. I had felt the blood draining from my body, and I was consciously accepting that I was losing it more and more. And at 2 hours 45, my blood supply to my brain, I'm presuming, got so low that my vision just closed down. I expected that to happen because I had looked at what the effects of being shot might be and how I might best manage that. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm alive today, because I'd taken that proactive, conscious look at what might happen. But as my vision closed down, I was expecting it to go black or grey, but it didn't. It just went to this absolutely pristine white. And there's no other way of describing it than this perfect, pristine white.
And can you explain how it changed your life and made you this positive, motivational speaker that you are today? And you're still in the police force, aren't you?
I'm still in the police force, still a serving officer. I only work part-time in the police force these days, 2 days a week, and I could be called to be operational and go out and arrest people in Hindley Street or any other riotous situation that comes up if I wanted to, but I'm only doing some office duties at the moment, just 2 days a week.
Now this guy gets out in a short time. You mightn't know this, but for some strange reason, Tony Grosser summonsed me as a defence witness. And I couldn't understand. What was I going to say to defend him, for heaven's sake? I just covered the story.
Yeah, right.
Amazing. But he gets out, or is he out now?
He's eligible for parole. He got a 22-year sentence, 18 years parole. He was eligible for parole as of April last year, and he is going through the early parole
and you're
system
quite sanguine about all of that, I guess. I mean, that's the law. You're a law officer.
It's that is what our courts have said is happening.
I know you do motivational speaking, so if you have a club or an organisation or you want to talk to this amazing man, because he's got a lot of wisdom as well, I'll give you a number at the end of the show where you can contact him. And I want you to sit in the chair and for 60 seconds try and change the world. But let me ask you one last question. What was the best piece of advice you were ever given?
Best piece of advice I was ever given was given to me by my father, and I think lots of us underrate the value of what our parents say to us. But as I was growing up, my father always used to say to me, Derek, isn't it amazing? The harder you try, the more you practice, the luckier you get. And that just has resounded for me so many times, because I really do believe that if we really put in the effort, we know what we want, we create our own luck in life. And we have had that discussion on several layers.
Yeah. Derek McManus, and he goes about in his own way changing the world every day, and in 60 seconds he's going to have another go at it.
Scammels, South Australia's specialist estate auctioneers. Visit us at 7 Chapel Street, Norwood, or at www.scammelauctions.com.au.
Is trust important to you when building life's biggest investment? Well, look no further than Rossdale Homes, a South Australian family-owned company whose mantra is, because trust is a must, has been building quality homes for people like you and me for over 30 years. Rossdale Homes guarantees an absolute fixed price. No hidden extra charges. Choose off the plan or work with their building consultants to design your own. Or visit their website, Rossdale Homes, because trust is a must. Derek McManus, as I said a moment ago, he is a fantastic motivational speaker and a publisher and a recorder of all sorts of things that will be good for kids and good for people and life-changing. And I'll give you his website now, which is www.derekmcmanus.com, and on that you've even got his mobile phone number. Now, 60 seconds to change the world or human nature or anything you'd like to change, Derek.
Thank you very much.
It's all yours.
Thank you. What I'd like to encourage people generally to do is to believe more in their own abilities. The speaking and the workshops that I run encourage people to believe more in their confidence and have the courage to believe in their own capacity to do the things that they want to do. I really believe we already have the skills we need to take the next step towards that massive goal. As a result of my shooting, the experiences I've had, I believe there are 5 drivers in life. The first one is optimism. We've got to have something optimistic to look forward towards. We've got to believe in our ability to influence our own little world. We've got to have passion about what we're going to do. If we don't have passion, we've got nothing. I believe we've got to have some amount of planning. And planning is simply having some idea of what you're going to encounter and some idea of how you're going to deal with it. And the last thing we need to do is encourage support. Now, this is not support for other people, it is support for ourselves. Being prepared to put a hand in the air and say, hey, listen, I would like a hand. I've got this sensational thing I want to do. I need some help to do it. People want to help us. Believe in yourself and go out and do what you want to do.
Indeed, it's a great line. Believe in yourself. Great to have met you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Derek McManus, the Court of Public Opinion. For all the climate change cynics, I might tell you, back in '83, this week we saw Adelaide's temperature at 42.9 degrees. Nothing changes. And some food for thought. McDonald's opened their first store in Russia, the largest in the world, by the way, seating 200 people outside. Or was it 2,000 people outside? Anyway, that was in 1990, and it's Anna Pavlova's birthday. But food for thought. Did you hear about the bloke who went into the Subway store, and you know the foot-long sandwich? He measured it, and it was short of a foot. And he is suing them, seriously. He is suing them because they have been advertising a foot-long sub, and it's not a foot long. The world has gone crazy. The jury, we've called them up for jury duty first time in the new year, and I hope you're enjoying the show. Caroline Peacock, Michael Pratt, Christine Esau.
Hi, Jeremy.
You're all well?
Very well indeed, thank you.
Yeah. Now, Michael, just before we get into the the topics. You know all the scuttlebutt. What's the latest? I keep hearing these rumours about Alexander Downer coming back to run the Liberal Party.
A psychic prediction? Alexander Downer will not lead the Liberal Party in 2013. Why would you give up a brilliantly remunerated job, which is a flash word for a lot of money, to put out press releases and stump around after the state Liberals? What happens in 2014? Ask the psychic when she comes later.
Are you up for the job?
No.
No. Okay. I just thought I'd ask.
Not in 2013.
You know, I'm not so sure. I think he's quite philanthropic.
Yes.
I think that he might be enjoying Cyprus, but I'm not sure that he won't come home to do some philanthropic work. It's in his genes.
Oh, I think he could be called up. I have no doubt about that. Michael, I love the jacket. He's a walking test pattern, isn't he? Just totally amazing.
Yes.
Now, first question is the voting age. Some countries have it at 21. We have it, I think, at 18. There are some political parties who would like to see it 16. I don't know, but this is what you think. Matt went out onto Norwood Parade. Have a listen.
We're here on the parade in Norwood to find out what you guys think about this week's top issues. First of all, Australia, what do you guys think the voting age should be?
18, still 18.
Why do you think that is?
I think 16-year-olds, they're too young and they're too easily influenced.
I think you should probably be raised to 21.
Yeah.
I don't think 18-year-olds are engaged enough in politics to really vote on who should be leading the country.
I think that if people can go to war at 18, then it should be 18.
I'm happy with 18 actually.
Why's that?
I think they're probably just a little bit more grown up than somebody who's 15 or 16, and I think people who vote should really know what they're voting about and not just voting for the sake of it. So I think they should be young adults when they are old enough to vote.
I'm still the old-fashioned thought that probably by the time you're 21 you've thought things through a bit more, but on the other hand 18 ties in with other things that have to start then. So between 18 and 21.
I agree it should be 18. I think by that stage people might have a son who's nearly 18 and he's starting to get interested in how the state runs, but I think the youth today have a bit of a concern for who's running the country, probably more so than perhaps some of us older, more cynical voters.
It's getting so hard because with everything growing so fast with technology, I think kids are growing up faster and get more of an idea than what we did, when we were younger as being an older person. So I think, yeah.
Caroline?
I think we forget it's a privilege to be able to vote. Many people fought very hard and long fights, not only for the right to vote, but also for females, and it is a privilege. It shouldn't be taken with a grain of salt, and it shouldn't be given to a child who doesn't understand what that privilege is.
But if you're a political party and you think you've got an advantage because they might vote for you because they're 16, that's what you're going to push for.
Yes, and then we're going to end up with a republic with Darth Vader as the President of Australia.
Yeah, but the amazing thing is that people regard it as being something of an inconvenience to go out there. Michael?
Well, two of us have got close association with political parties. If a political party was pushing a 16-year-old voting age, I would suggest it would be not the Conservatives. I don't think that you could discriminate against teenagers who, what do they know at 16? Do they not know at 18? Yes, you can drive a car, which is probably even more dangerous than voting, I would have thought at 16. There's some legislation that needs to be looked at. I would be an opponent of lowering the voting age. I would be an 18-year-old.
Christine?
My daughter, who is now 25, but I remember at 18 she wouldn't have even realised that there were two parties in the country. She was far more self-interested.
In boys.
And I think, absolutely.
Well, there's one party across the road, there's another one on the other side of town. That's it.
And she had far more interest in that sort of lifestyle than who should lead the country. So I think she was very happy that her parents and people a little older were making that decision for her.
But I think what your daughter didn't have then is social network media. I mean, Twitter and Facebook, and you can see how Get Up has absolutely slaughtered Alan Jones in a comment. So they're the ones that are using Facebook and have got Barack Obama in.
Oh, okay.
Mm. Yeah, now the other thing we went out and talked about, and by the way, we'll give you at the end of the show all the website information, and you can come back to us with all the comments that you want. We do go to the street, and we also go around Australia with the Court of Public Opinion, but because of this social media and stuff that I don't, frankly, have total understanding of, it's quite a reach all over the world, in fact. Now, the other thing we went out to look at was people's opinion on injecting rooms. You know, they've got this injecting room in Sydney. It was supposed to be a trial. This was 10 years ago, or was it 15 years ago? It's still there. And it is said to be a good thing. It is the dumbing down of the law with regard to the severity with which we regard shooting up with heroin. Here's what you think.
And next up, should there be safe injected rooms for heroin users?
Absolutely, I think that's really essential, and if I had my way I would legalise all drugs and have the government run all the drugs. Get rid of all the drug barons and illegal drugs, and, you know, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I think so, so that because it's going to happen anyway, so I think may as well make sure it's practiced safely than, causing other issues. So.
Okay.
Well, I think you have to look at what's the, how would I put this? Obviously heroin's not good for anybody, but the people who are addicted to heroin have become addicted to heroin for whatever reasons, and mostly, you know, they've often had fairly sad lives. And so I think that instead of blaming the victims, we should really support them in whatever way we can to really get them to help to come off such a terrible drug. So I think that whatever resources really need to be put in, we should do that.
No, I'm sorry. My thoughts on that are a little bit different. I've seen too many friends of, I think there's heroin, I don't believe is good for you at any age. Yeah, I suppose it would be good to have help to teach them, to educate them. So I guess a room might be good.
Oh, I don't actually. I'm a nurse and I've seen too many overdoses, and no, I don't actually.
Not at all. It's criminal and stupid, and they should learn to sort of know what's best for them.
Yeah, it's a hard one, but no, probably not, because it almost looks like you're allowing it by doing that. I mean, I know this is a safety issue, but yeah, I don't think they should.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's going to be less heroin use if you provide people with a room. I don't know. Christine, what do you think?
I think it's a good idea.
You do?
I do, because I've seen babies that have been born with heroin addiction, and it's the most tragic thing to see a child come into the world and struggle to live and go through cold turkey, which you have to do with a baby that's...
But you wouldn't take a baby to an injecting room.
No. I'd like to get the would-be parents there in time to perhaps move them from heroin to methadone.
Well, why
or something
not?
else. And the other thing that I have a real worry about is that these babies that are born with heroin addiction, for instance, they go to hospital later on. Do they have a propensity towards becoming a heroin addict again because we use morphines in hospital? I just think that if we can try and get people back onto something else and take them off these drugs, it would be a great idea.
Well, I just don't see, we've been trialling it, as you say, in Sydney for 15 years. It obviously isn't that successful, or otherwise other states would have picked it up.
We don't know about that, and there's one in here.
Well, people are agitating to have them all over the whole country.
Is there an injecting room in South Adelaide?
I think there is in Adelaide, yes.
There's methadone clinics rather than methadone.
Well, all right, well, that's sort of what I'm talking about. That really is the same.
And I've just got an SMS, social networking, Jeremy, you better get onto it. It's here to stay, like the Beatles. That the community is divided on injecting rooms in Sydney. I thought there was some move in Europe that they were disbanding them.
I thought they were being disbanded.
Because it hasn't worked. I bet your Vox Pop show there would be people who say, look, clean it up, make it legal, and that takes out the drug barons and the robbers. But that's an easy
But isn't it easy?
cop-out.
Isn't it easy? Okay, we can't control it. We can't stop the criminals, so let's not make it a crime. That's not stopping it, but if you had people come into an injecting room on condition they signed up for rehab.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know, you've got to get them out of the habit.
That's
But
right.
that doesn't get them out of the habit. That's
Might.
just the easy way. That's,
But
and apart from that, they can turn to so many other drugs.
Well, red
There's so
wine
many
does it
other
for
things
me. I
out
mean,
there.
I don't understand why.
I've seen them line up at a Prospect pharmacy and a Holden Hill pharmacy for the methadone around the back door. Their name's on a register. You get this little file of methadone and a glass of water. I presume it is a hit let down. I wish we had someone who knew a bit more about it from the
Do you know that
police force.
people that smoke cigarettes try to get off and it's insidious, and they try patches and that's okay, and they try chewing gum, etc. Whatever it takes, sometimes you fail a few times until you succeed.
Yeah.
And so I figure that if the clinic help those that really want to give up, give it a shot, maybe they won't succeed, but maybe they'll come back and try again when their life is in better shape. I just think it's tragic. So
Well, as Chris Christopherson said, I wonder if the going up is worth the coming down. I mean, it's a hell of a way to live.
it's really easy for us to sit here and say that people don't want to get off drugs.
But you're not helping them by keeping them on.
But Carolyn, I thought
transition.
that heroin wasn't the flash social drug of choice. I thought it was ice and meth. You can't spell it.
That seems to be how it's going, and
cocaine.
it seems to be more readily available.
Easy to transport. Plus, you've got the habitual marijuana, which has grown stronger. That's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
It's a stronger drug now than it was 20 years ago.
Okay, I just worry about the message that you send, having a legalised thing that the state sets up a room where you can go to shoot up. It's a message that you're sending to kids, saying it's okay, sort of thing. The other thing that is interesting is that Bob Such has put up a bill again, and he had the other one narrowly defeated before, and this is a bill allowing euthanasia, the right to die. Now, you've got some people out there on the streets trying to kill themselves, and you've got a whole lot of other people trying to give us the right to die when we make up our minds. Here's what you think on Norwood Parade.
And lastly, euthanasia. Do we Australians have the right to end our own life?
Yes, definitely. I think we should have the right to choose when we die. I mean, we treat animals better than we treat human beings.
Yes, I've got really strong opinions about this actually, but I think that we treat our animals better than we treat our humans, and I think that it's a very personal choice about to be able to die with dignity, and I think that you should be able to really choose that for yourself.
Yes, I definitely do. I've been through a lot in my life. I've had a lot of sickness. I've had a lot of a very sick child, a very sick husband. It's important to be able to do exactly what you want to do with your life.
Do you know what? That is such a tricky one, because in certain circumstances, I think, I can totally understand it, but then I'd be worried about what if people change their own mind, and I've heard quite a few stories about that. So that's a really tricky one.
Under certain conditions, yes. And I'm talking in terms of people who've used that most of their life, if you like, and they're in a situation whereby it's just a matter of time for it all to happen. And it's better for them not to experience to go without all the pain, subject to what the medical world would try to bring about to prove that they're doing a good job.
So I think it comes to a point where people don't have any quality of life, and what's the point of making them continue, especially if they're in pain.
Yeah, Michael?
Yes, I would enter the debate when particularly the Catholic Church and the pulpit take it away, because they are strong advocates for a whole of life. There's an organisation very strong and powerful called Right to Life, yet only last week I read eulogies and tributes to Dale Baker, a former Liberal leader who died of motor neurone disease, was reduced to writing on a tablet. And he was desperate that someone like Bob Such did have an exit from this life with some sort of dignity. It is a very politicised, polarised and religious debate, and the church has a lot of influence. I'd love to hear from some great medical people who can get rid of the ethics and say, yes, there should be the chance for you to have that dignity. And I know Carolyn's got a good answer on whole of life people who are
Well, I just feel that if there's an accident or someone's in a coma and they're on life support, we often are very understanding when the family decide to turn off. We have compassion
Exactly.
and understanding for that situation. Yet if you have a terminal illness and you're in a great deal of pain, why shouldn't you be assisted? If that you have no expectation of having an agreeable or sustainable or painless existence, and you're just literally lying there counting the seconds until you naturally pass.
Christine, you're the daughter of a doctor.
Yes.
I understand that doctors have been helping people out of their pain and this world for years.
Absolutely, and they'll do it as soon as they have an opportunity for medical intervention. And I'd like to say here that Dad's not in that area, but I think that the opportunity to intervene has been one that doctors have practiced for a long time, and thank the Lord they can, because I have experienced a situation where I was very pleased to see medical intervention rather than prolonging life. And I think we're sometimes kinder to our pets than we are to fellow human beings.
Well, this bill coming up again, Bob Such has amended it in several different ways, and he's put in all of the safeguards. He's listened to people's objections to it.
Yeah, I think you need to have legal safeguards. I think there clearly is an opportunity to, but we give power of attorneys to people we trust, and perhaps with some legal help or whatever, we can make sure that there are legal steps that need to be adopted.
Yes, let family
Absolutely.
and friends know your wishes.
And a panel, and also a
But-
panel that
But
can
you
be
do that
involved.
when you sign that organ donor form.
Absolutely.
But can't that be overridden by a family member?
Yes, it
at
can.
the bedside?
At this stage,
It
it
can.
can. We've got to go. We're running out of time.
All right.
To the jury,
Yes.
thank you so much.
And get on the Twitter.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hashtag @Cordeaux.com. Here we are.
Okay.
Go with it.
The Court of Public Opinion now round Australia, and it's the program that shoots the breeze, never the messenger.
It's a home theatre.
It's an office.
It's a salon.
It's a bar.
It's a garage.
Garage Mahal can transform your shed, carport, garage or undercroft into your favourite room in the house. You'll be surprised with what we can do with that disorganised, messy space. Regardless of your reasons, your lifestyle or hobby, we can create whatever you can imagine. So call Garage Mahal today on 1300 839 353.
Scammels, South Australia's specialist estate auctioneers. Visit us at 7 Chapel Street, Norwood, or at www.scammelauctions.com.au.
Great house. Thank you. Rossdale built it for us. We love it. I'll show you through. We wanted a house with a barley feel, so we worked with our building consultant and designers to develop a plan we liked. They were so flexible and cooperative. When it was all designed, we got an absolute fixed price and they stuck to it. No extra charges, and their people were fantastic to work with.
We're actually thinking of building a new home.
You should go and see all their displays and talk to them about your ideas. It's the best thing we've ever done.
Rossdale Homes, because trust is a must. Now, I seem to remember this coming up when they had the Building the Education Revolution. You remember that sort of prime pumping thing that the government did along with the pink bats? You remember that? It has surfaced again. This is an election year, you know that. And I don't mean to be cynical, but I tell you what, I got here something in front of me from the federal government. And it's called Revolution Recognition Ceremonies. Now, it talks about the $14.1 billion which was given to schools across the country. It's a lot of money. And I understand that some schools wanted a library but ended up with a school hall, and some wanted a school hall, ended up with a library. It wasn't exactly, well, it was like pink bats on steroids. That's really what it was. But this is the payoff for the government. This is me being cynical, okay? All recognition ceremonies must be held with 2 months prior notice given to the Department of Education, Employment and Workplace Relations. All invitations shall be forwarded to the BER Recognition at government.org, etc., etc., etc. If a school has received funding under one of the BER, Building the Education, and they spell it out and then they write it out, Building the Education Revolution, a plaque will be provided as part of the recognition requirements. All ceremonies and all correspondence shall be forwarded to the School Liaison Office of the Building the Education Revolution Task Force. It goes on and on and on. It says here, some things to remember when planning your recognition ceremony. This is for the schools. The event will last for 45 minutes. Put together a running order which outlines the format of the event. A plaque will be provided by the Australian Government for recognition of the assistance provided under the BER, Building the Education Revolution, written out again. This should be fixed to the new or refurbished building as appropriate and set out as directed by the website. Acknowledgement of the Australian Government's assistance in all speeches and publicity issued by the school, newsletters, websites, local media articles. I mean, this is straight out of North Korea. This is Beijing gone mad. The school choir will sing the school anthem. The principal will formally introduce the government representative. The Australian government representative will speak for 10 minutes and then move to officially unveil the plaque. Photos will be taken of the Australian government representative and school representatives with the plaque. I mean, I don't believe it. This is Australia. Now, in the court of public opinion, I think we should be a little angry about that. I know somebody in the back office is trying to do something good for Miss Gillard and her election prospects, but that is crazy. You know, I'm surprised it isn't signed Dear Leader or Mao Zedong. I don't know. Now, of course, if they get up their legislation that says you can't offend anyone, I'll go to jail for what I've just said, but, you know, sometimes you have to pay the price. If there is a jail sentence in my future, here is a lady who knows. Her name is Anne Elisabeth. How are you?
I'm good, Jeremy. How are you?
Come and visit me when they put the thought police will put me away, you know. I'm sure they've got it planned. I wanted you to come in at the beginning of the year, now that we've gone national, to give us a bit of a snapshot as to what this country has in store. It is an election year. Where are we going?
Oh, well, up until June, we're probably in a fairly difficult situation financially, as is everybody is. Because there are two planets that come together every 20 years and they start a new 20-year financial cycle. This is the planets Saturn and Jupiter. And then Jupiter gets to the point of being opposition, which happened from 2010. So from 2010 until 2020, we're in the waning phase.
What does waning mean? We've had enough wane up there in...
falling down. Getting less.
Yes, they've had wane to the point where it's flooding. I don't mean to be flippant.
Well, that's another influence. The planet Neptune, which spends 14 years in a sign, that moved into Pisces, settled into Pisces a year or so ago, so that we could have another 12 or 13 years of a lot of wet. Previous to that, it was in Aquarius, which is a dry, windy sign, for 14 years when we had the drought.
Is it all man-made, or do you think there's just something cyclical, or in fact in the stars?
Yep, that's cyclical. So I don't think we'll have any shortage of moisture for the next 12 or 13 years while Neptune stays in Pisces.
Well, we need that. Who's going to win the election?
Well, I don't know that Julia Gillard's in a very good position. Her horoscope...
You don't have to be a clairvoyant to know that, by the way.
Well, it's interesting because everybody's chart changes from one birthday to the next, and her birthday is late September. So that this year she has... and there's a planet that rules the year. It's Lord of the Year. So her Lord of the Year this year was right at the end of a sign, which means that she's having something come to an end. Plus there's a lot of influence in skeletons in the cupboard area of her horoscope.
Yes, well, that's been going on for a while. But do you see the Labor Party changing leader or going to the election with?
I think at this stage, that's what I've wondered, because her birthday was the end of September. I wondered whether they'd change her as the leader.
She's a Virgo?
No, she's an early Libran.
Oh, right. Oh, if she was a Virgo,
Late.
so I'd have to change my entire opinion. Oh. I was going to say a conversion on the road to Damascus, but nobody goes that road to Damascus anymore.
Oh, she's got a Gemini moon, hence the reason that she's changing, you know, comes up with these ideas very suddenly and changes them and whatever. So, yeah, she's got a difficult period coming up from March, early March until the early part of April.
What about Abbott, Tony Abbott? Do you see him, because there are always rumours?
Well, the interesting thing is that the planet Saturn, which has a 30-year cycle, and Saturn has a lot to do with governments, it spends about 2.5 years in each sign. When it went into Virgo, Rudd became the leader, and Rudd was a Virgo sun sign, or is a Virgo sun sign. He's still alive.
Nice bloke.
Do you think so? And then when it changed to Libra, Gillard became the Prime Minister.
Right.
And it's just changed in October last year to Scorpio, and Abbott's a Scorpio. So this has never happened before.
So what do you tell us what that means?
Well, based on the, well, when Saturn goes into your sun sign, it's always a very important year of taking on more responsibility. I mean, people just generally in jobs take on a position of authority. So that's a very good thing for Abbott to be perhaps becoming the Prime Minister.
Okay, if you were sitting there with Julia Gillard, give me one piece of advice you'd give to her and a piece of advice for Tony Abbott.
I think that she needs to stop blaming him for everything and criticising things. Yeah. And he probably needs to try and be a bit more relaxed about things. I think Scorpio's a very secretive sign, and so I think he has problems more or less saying what he really thinks a lot of the time.
I find when I listen to him, his speech is very staccato. And
because Scorpios are very cautious.
He's thinking about every word and its nuances and possible misinterpretations. But you know, you've got to have sort of flow, haven't you?
Yes, yes. I mean, he's got, and I think, I don't know his birth time, but he's either got a Pisces moon or an Aries moon, but people with Aries moon they're very sporty, very competitive, so I'd say he has an Aries moon.
Now the program obviously comes from South Australia, but we go to Brisbane and Sydney and Melbourne. Do you see anything that we or other states should be cognizant of?
Well,
or fearful of?
I think
worried about?
It's Australia as a whole, really. Yeah. When the next new financial cycle starts, this cycle will start off in Aquarius, and Australia is an Aquarius country, so this starts off in 2020. So I think there's better things to come for Australia.
Now, I promised Michael Pratt I'd ask you, Alexander Downer, rumoured to be everything from the Lord Mayor to the leader of the Liberal Party and Premier of South Australia. Do you see anything?
I haven't looked at his chart.
It's a very good answer.
He's a Virgo like you.
Oh, I didn't know that. No, that's why I like him. Must be why I like him.
Yes. He has an Aries moon sign, so you never know. He might be prepared to take on the challenge. That would be a good thing, really.
Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Lovely to see you. I haven't seen you for ages and ages and ages.
Yes, a whole 12-year cycle, it seems.
Well, we've got to hop on our cycle and go, but thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure, Jeremy.
And Elisabeth. Round the city, the state, the country and the world, the court of public opinion. It just sounds a bit grandiose, doesn't it? Round city, state, country and the world. Never mind. Some birthdays, some things we remember this week for. RCA released the first ever 45 RPM record. 1949. Does that make you feel old? Makes me feel old. First day of 10 o'clock closing in Sydney Hotel since 1916. That was the day, this day back in 1955. Anthony LaPaglia is having a birthday. And the world's first motion picture studio opened in New Jersey, built by Thomas Edison. The year was 1893. Now, just before I introduce you to Betty, who's going to give us our sneak look at entertainment, I want to show you this. In fact, we're going to get Stavros Pipos on the show. He used to run Channel 7, And he has spent his last, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe 20 years of his life photographing this wonderful country. He's a most brilliant photographer. And he also ran a very good television station, I might tell you. Betty, how are you?
I'm well.
I'm glad. You've got a hell of a lot to talk about.
I have. There's so many people touring Australia at the moment.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to talk to you because I'll take your time. So you tell me, who's coming in?
Well, Keith Urban is currently touring Australia, and he played in Sydney last night and is performing at Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne this weekend. And his show in Brisbane has been rescheduled because of the floods. So everybody that's bought a ticket to that show, he will be performing on Tuesday night.
Right.
And we all love Keith Urban, good old country boy, born and bred from Brisbane.
He ain't that country. I mean, he's basically global now.
Well, he is. He is.
Not down home country.
No. And Shannon Noel is also touring regional areas in South Australia, New South Wales and Queensland. And he's tonight, he's going to be at the Goolwa Club at the Cooper's Our House in Wallaroo and Norwood Hotel on Saturday night, down to the Clarendon Inn on Sunday night, and then next week over to New South Wales.
So there are lots of live gigs going on.
Lots of live gigs, and then to Brisbane, Newcastle, and if you want information on Shannon, www.shannonnoel.com.au tours. Now this is my favourite.
What?
I mean, I do love Shannon, I do love Keith Urban, but Cliff Richard, still reeling and rocking after 54 years.
It's Sir Cliff.
Sir Cliff, thank you for correcting me there.
No, I don't think he uses it, but he has it, and that's nice.
I think it sounds nice, Sir Cliff. And he's celebrating 54 years in the industry, 54. Isn't that fabulous?
And do you know, it's fascinating that he hasn't had a song in the top 10, in the sense that people won't play his music, but he has #1 bestsellers.
Well, he
he
has.
doesn't. When I say in the top 10, I mean he doesn't get into the radio station top 40 lists, but people buy his records and he gets these #1s all the time.
He's Britain's greatest hitmaker, and no other UK band or solo artist is close to equaling that.
No, it's amazing.
So he's got 2 shows in Brisbane this weekend, 4 shows in Sydney, 4 shows in Melbourne, and then he's off Newcastle, Adelaide Entertainment Centre, and he's finishing off in Perth, a beautiful outdoor concert at the Sandalford Estate. You'd love that.
Yes, I think he's a great entertainer. Yep. What else?
Okay, Ringo Starr and his all-star band.
Yep.
They're also touring Australia. Did you know that he wrote I Get By With a Little Help from My Friend's Yellow Submarine? I had no idea. Very talented, our Ringo.
Yeah.
So he will be in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide and Perth. So get your tickets for that. Now, as of next week, I've decided to feature a movie of the week.
Okay.
And I will be bringing some information about that, trailers and the hot movies to see. So I'm very excited about that.
I'd love you to do Lincoln. I think that's going to be a most interesting movie.
I will get onto that for you. And I'm coming back next week with a bit of an Italian flavour, and I'll just leave it at that.
Betty, I love you dearly. Take care of yourself. Back with Heavy Petting. First show of the new year, and thank you very much for being a part of it. Now, thank you to our supporters and our sponsors, Hair Artistique and Tailors of Distinction, and all the other family of people who make this program possible. Now, the Animal Welfare League, Peter Sellen, dear boy, who does such a lot of work, good work for the animals. He sent me a little heavy petting here. Pet of the week is Sheba. Hi, I'm Sheba. I am the pet of the week, female Rottweiler Border Cross Collie. Wow. A sweet 14-month-old girl, quick and willing to learn, get excited around cats and small animals. Yes, I can imagine that. So I would be best suited at a home without these temptations. I can be a little nervous in some situations and would suit a home with older or no children. I'm a very active dog, full of energy, and want lots of exercise. Desexed, microchipped, vaccinated, health checked, and only $310. And you'll be giving this lovely dog a home. You can get in touch at 1 to 19 Cormac Road, Wingfield, 83481300, or you can go to awlsa and .com.au. See what you can do to make that puppy a happy puppy.
Keep a dream in your pocket and a song in your heart. Keep the lamp of your learning burning bright. Keep your